I once was a captain, you know. Oh, the stories I could tell. So many of them true.
We are the friendly spirits from the forest glow.
Welcome back to Disney Marvels for the week of May 1st, 2022. This is episode 174. Disney Marvels, the show about Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Muppets, Pixar, 20th Century, the parks, and much, much more. If it has to do with Disney, it's fair game. I'm your host, Matthew Graken. Hey, it is May 4th. The day this episode comes out, May the 4th be with you. Celebrate like our co-host Matt Leonard does, because it is very special to him as well. The force is particularly strong with him on this day. Please send out your warmest congratulations to him and celebrate as well as the Jedi do. Hold your lightsabers high and proud and celebrate the wonders that is Star Wars. Not just today on May 4th, but all month long with all the wonderful things that are going on in Star Wars. We have a few things planned this month to celebrate the love of Star Wars. And on that note, we'll be back after a word from our friends and sponsors.
Hello there, Disney Marvels podcast friends. This is Anthony King, host of the new podcast, Force Ghost Conversations. Each week, this show will be your home for cozy, deep dive discussions into all things Star Wars. We will break down the latest news, announcements, movies, TV shows, comics, books, and everything else in a galaxy far, far away. We can be found on every major podcast listening site, and you can also join the conversation with us via Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search Force Ghost Conversations. We look forward to having you join us around the campfire then for some Force Ghost conversations, and may the Force be with you.
And now, on with the show. Star Wars is an ever-expanding universe these days, which, as Star Wars fans, we should be thankful for and glad that we're getting this kind of continued storylines into the world and beyond what we have known. For a while, we had just the animated series, and there was always the question, are the animated series part of the movie series or not? Are they two separate things? It wasn't until season 2 of The Mandalorian when we were graciously given Ahsoka and some of her Mandalorian friends into the series. They started to combine, and you got the Darksaber, and you had a whole bunch of other things. So now we're starting to get more and more of that. And the question that was posed to me by none other than the Leonards themselves, because I'll make them collective in this, that what characters would we like to see in live action? What anime characters do we want to see make the grand crossover in a proper sense and not just a quick background cameo like the Ghost? So to, of course, discuss this, because collectively they brought this idea to me, we have Emily Leonard, because ladies first, and she's been on the show more recently. And then, of course, the Vader of them all,
What kind of introduction was that?
Matt Leonard.
Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Vader means father in German.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Out there.
Dark Father. Uh-oh. And we're already freezing up.
You keep freezing. Are you there?
I'm there.
Okay.
My
Good.
band must be minimal.
All right. Or mine. Mine is probably miserable.
Maybe we're all just miserable.
I think we're all a little miserable today.
It's early morning. I had a late night bender last night.
Mm.
Bender's
Partying
great.
with Nerf guns.
Good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so Star Wars characters. This was a great idea, and whoever wants to take credit for on that end, go right ahead.
Hey, it was mine.
Yeah.
It was
I had
mine. It's my
nothing to do
birthday.
with it.
So yeah, we're gonna do top 3 animated characters we want to see in the live action Star Wars.
Yep.
We've allowed ourselves there are, what are we looking at, guys? But 5 characters that they've announced that we are gonna see: Sabine, the Grand Inquisitor, the Fifth Brother, Ezra, and Thrawn, and of course Ahsoka's got a series coming up, so 6 really. Obviously, none of those are going to be on our lists because they've been announced. We know we're going to get them. So hopefully, if we've got time, we're going to circle back to that list later on. We are, however, going to allow for characters who, how do I want to say this? They're characters who have been in live action, but their story hasn't been told in live action.
Yeah.
They might have just run by in the background.
Or a Singh, Barasafi, Chopper. We've all seen them. We know that they're there. But their story really hasn't been told in live action. I'm gonna have another one. I didn't know.
Let me just make a quick preface it though. We don't know about the Grand Inquisitor.
That has pretty much. I think that actually, I was reading something the other day. This is the other thing. Star Wars Celebration is coming up at the end of the month. Yes. Expect announcements really there. But no, Lars Mikkelsen has all but essentially been confirmed to be reprising the role and actually playing Ron. Okay. I don't think an official announcement has been made yet, but I got a feeling that by the end of the month.
We'll know.
I got a feeling
because
of the month.
What we've seen in the trailer has all been the Fifth Brother, where people assumed it was a Grand Inquisitor, but it's actually the Fifth Brother not wearing his hat.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. You said the Grand Inquisitor. Yeah. I'll allow for that. That there is some sort of let's start this conversation again. The Grand Inquisitor has not been. The Grand Inquisitor has been. You said Grand Inquisitor, right? Or Thrawn?
Grand Inquisitor.
What were we saying?
Grand Inquisitor.
Why was I talking about Thrawn?
I don't know.
Okay. Obviously, I'm not listening today. I apologize. No, I think that has also been confirmed that Jason Friend is playing the Grand Inquisitor.
Really?
Maybe. Yeah, he's in the trailer for Obi-Wan.
No, he's not in the trailer. That's the Fifth Brother.
Is.
No.
So is both of them. They're both there.
I can prove otherwise. Where is...
It has been confirmed that the Grand Inquisitor will be live action in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
There you go.
I searched it up.
Where was this?
Rupert Friend is playing the Grand Inquisitor.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, we got off track, and we're only like 5 minutes in.
Oh yeah, there he is, Grand Inquisitor. We haven't seen him. That's what it is. Everyone.
No, he's in the trailer.
No, that's actually the Fifth Brother.
They're both there.
They're both there.
Watch
the
trailer
one without
again.
the hat?
Not now, we're recording a show, but later on,
yeah.
Watch the trailer.
I did
there
watch
are pictures of him.
Hold on.
He's there.
I don't have it saved on this computer.
Anyway, so those are going to be our...
Yes. Moving on. Yeah. Yes,
this makes good radio.
Yeah.
I love a good discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we will keep those ones out
for now, and we might, if we've got time, we're going to circle back to that list to discuss some things. So shall we kick off? Well, actually, I got a question before we get started with our lists. I do have a question for both of you. And Matt, you kind of addressed this before we started. No, this is I'm just to sort of get a sense of the room and sort of set the tone, just real quick. Of the animated Star Wars shows, do you guys have a favorite or one that you sort of lean to? Emily's glaring at me.
Which one has Ahsoka the most?
Clone Wars.
Yeah, Clone Wars.
So I figured that would be your answer. Matt, do you have one that you kind of lean to or favor?
I picked through Clone Wars. I didn't watch all 200 and something episodes.
And if you say The Adventures of the Ewoks, I'm gonna reach through the computer and slap you. I want you to know that.
I've been very partial to droids.
I knew he was gonna.
I'm gonna reach through the computer.
I'm gonna reach through the computer and slap it.
No.
Knew it was coming.
You set yourself up for that for mentioning Ewoks. The one that I've actually that I've enjoyed the most of the more recent 4. I've started watching Rebels, and I'm about a season into that, so that's where I'm on that one, and I really like what I've seen. But the one that I've really gotten mostly into has been Bad Batch.
I had a feeling you were going to say that too.
Yeah,
I know everything. I don't need you guys to do this show. I
Tell us what we're going to say on Ground One.
You're going to say Bad Batch. You were going to say Clone Wars. I kind of knew you guys were each going to say that. And I'm glad. Well, this is what I really like about this conversation. First of all, before I say what I actually just finished watching Bad Batch, and I liked it way more than I thought I would. And I love that. I thought it was going to be a show about like, we're clones gone crazy, gone rogue, we do our own thing, and we do whatever we want, blah. And I like, well, that's going to be kind of a dull. But really, it's a show about family, and I like that. That's what it is at its heart. It
is essential what Star Wars is in its base and roots. Again, it's about story about hope and about family.
Yeah. And then to circle back and answer my own question, for me, I loved Rebels from the word go. Rebels absolutely. I fell in love with it about 10 minutes in when they're pulling the heist on Lothal, and they're signaling to each other, and then Ezra jumps in and steals the crates, and it was just so much fun that I thought, this is Star Wars to me. This is what good Star Wars is. It's just it's action, adventure, and it's a lot of fun. And that was what I got from it. And the interplay between the characters, where Sabine is sort of saying, she's sort of rooting for Ezra a little bit. She says, little piece of advice, don't let the big guy catch you. Or if the big guy catches you, he'll end you. And then within 2 minutes of that, you have he outsmarts Kanan and Zeb turns to Kanan and goes, if I catch him, I'm going to end him. It's just that the interplay between the characters was so great. I thought, this is Star Wars. This is what Star Wars is to me. So I think that this makes me really excited that there are 3 of us are talking, and we've got someone who tends to lean towards Clone Wars, someone who really leans towards Bad Batch, and someone whose personal favorite is Rebels. I kind of had a feeling that's how that conversation was going to shake out.
And no one brings up Resistance.
I was wondering if we were going to talk about Resistance. I haven't ever watched it. I'll be honest.
Neither have I, and for whatever reason, I just didn't feel.
Emily doesn't even know it exists.
Oh, jeez. I think there's a lot of people that have forgot about that one.
What?
What show?
What's Resistance? All right. So having said that, I think that's all you need to know right there.
Yeah, that sums up Resistance.
Maybe one day.
Oh, that's Resistance.
Yes, it's got a very different art form to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe one day I'll get to it.
And I've never watched it.
In the fullness of time. And I sent you my last message is the image of the one that everyone thought was the Grand Inquisitor, confirming that it's the 5th brother.
Okay, I didn't see. None of those actually came up as images. Oh, what?
No, but it should have the link if you click on it.
Okay. Well, we can look at those later, but we'll talk about. Let's get to our lists because we have X amount of time.
We have time. Yes.
So who wants to go first?
Ladies first, always.
That's what I was thinking.
I was gonna go not it.
No, I think you should go first because I think you should clear the obvious one off the table for us.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Well,
Okay.
there's one that I'm convinced is on all. I know it's on your list. I'm pretty certain it's on Matt's list. Take the obvious one off the table for us, please. Take pity on us.
Watch it not be the obvious one.
Take the obvious one.
But my number 1 is Rex.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Isn't what I was expecting you to say, but okay.
You were expecting me to say my second.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're gonna lose your second in a minute because one of us.
You'll lose your second in a second.
Talk about what about Rex?
I want Rex to show up in
Ahsoka.
because I like how the two interact, and I don't want him to be some background character on Endor.
Yeah, no, he absolutely does need to show back up. I was thinking the same thing.
He's a great character, and I gotta confess, I don't care much for him in Clone Wars. He's just for me.
You prefer old Rex?
I prefer old Rex. I love him in Rebels. He's fun. He's sort of
old and grumpy?
no, he's not really grumpy, but he's. I think it's sort of what I was saying the other day to you about Wrecker on Bad Batch. He's the uncle.
Yeah.
Kanan is the father figure. Rex is sort of the uncle.
Yeah.
And I think he's also that tie back to Anakin, back to Vader that makes him kind of interesting. And I said this at one point to you guys when we were talking about Boba Fett. I don't remember how this came up, but I said I have my headcanon that it's somewhere along the line. Rex sidled himself up to Luke and said, "I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, and this is the man that I knew." And and I'm fairly convinced that giving Luke that piece of information helped him go forward to try and redeem his father. Like the one person in the galaxy who would not see his dad as a complete jerk would be Rex. But yeah, you're right. I like the relationship between those two.
I really want to see Rex in live action.
I would love to see him.
And if they do it, they've got him cast. I mean, they've got Tamora Morrison's already done Boba Fett, and I'd like to see him. I like the idea of Tamora Morrison or really any of the actors doing the live action, having to go back and watch and take their cues from the voice actors.
Yeah.
And especially Tamora Morrison, who's kind of played, he played Jango Fett and he played Boba Fett, and he was, gruff and this, and this was but to have him be a bit more loose and relaxed and really play a different character would be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rex was also on my list too.
Yeah. See, this is why we had
All right, Matt, that puts you up.
Oh, does that put me up? Really?
That puts you next, yes.
I'm on?
Yes,
go
you're a
ahead and
guest.
take the obvious.
Take the obvious one? All right.
Take the obvious.
Hondo.
Yep, there's the obvious.
Yep.
I'm assuming he was on your list too, Matt?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I thought so. Oh, let's face it. We all love Jim Cummings.
Yeah.
We all love Jim Cummings. And it's just such a fun character. Hondo Ohnaka first appeared in Clone Wars. He's been in Rebels. I'm kind of waiting for him to show up in Bad Batch. What's that?
He's been in the theme parks.
Yeah, he's been to the theme parks.
Yep.
I'm waiting for him to show up in Bad Batch. I'm sure he'll be in season 2 of Bad Batch. He's just a fun character, and you never know what is he going to do something that actually serves the good guys, or is he going to do whatever is going to serve Hondo? I'm also really kind of curious to see them. I'm curious as to how they're gonna do him. I think Cad Bane was kind of an experiment, and I think one of the reasons we saw so little of Cad Bane in Boba Fett was because I think he was part of a grand experiment to see, can we push this? Can we take characters who are a little more, it's not just someone playing a human character, but playing one of the creature characters, one of the more interesting looking, odd looking characters, and
very
putting them in that
CGI.
world. Yeah, CGIing them in and having the voice actor or doing motion capture. And they did it a little bit with Maul in Solo. But
he was just a quick holograph at the end. It wasn't even like
right, and it's only 1 or 2 lines of Sam Witwer matching Ray Park's performance.
Yep.
And I think Cad Bane was also sort of as an extension of that, and sort of was pushing that experiment. And I'm kind of curious to see how they do it with Hondo. Would you do a motion capture? Would you do an actor in makeup and have Jim Cummings try to match it? Do you try to find an actor who can match what Jim Cummings did? You know, it's which of all of the characters, that's kind of the hardest one to sort of match, I think, because it's so, what he does is so specific and so broad.
Yeah.
It's trying to find an actor who can replicate that is a challenge. Which brings me to another question to you guys. How important is it to you guys that the voice of the character, the voice on the cartoon, match the character in live action? It's
for me, it depends on the character.
Yeah, I think
it depends on the character, but I'm more of a purist, I guess. I'd like to see that consistency as much as possible, realizing it's not 100% possible, and we have already lost that going the other direction in some ways. You know, Frank Oz does not do Yoda in any of the animated stuff.
Right.
So we already have.
Right, and well, you know, like I said this, I think, back when we talked about Ahsoka, that Matt Lanter doesn't sound anything like Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
No.
But it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
Whereas
James Arnold Taylor does the best that he can with Kenobi, but
he's a phenomenal. I think he does a phenomenal Kenobi.
Oh, he does a great job.
I'm
just saying he's not. You know, he's portraying Ewan McGregor's.
Right.
So there is a slight difference, but he does a great job with it, and I think more people are used to hearing his voice now.
Right. Yeah, I was actually playing the new Lego Star Wars, where he voices James Arnold Taylor voices Obi-Wan, young Obi-Wan, and it took me a minute to realize that I'm like, oh, they're using clips from the movies. Oh no, that's actually James Arnold Taylor doing Obi-Wan.
I've been listening to his podcast recently, and in the latest one or last episode, one of the latest episodes, he was talking about the recording sessions where they had them go back. They played the clip from the movie, but he said, okay, now change it up some. They took about 5 different takes of each line to kind of Legofy it, because it's got that more fun and slightly different aspect. It's
also really weird playing the Lego game, hearing like Matt Lanter and Catherine Tabor and Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor do the lines that were Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman originally. It's almost really bizarre to hear that.
Yeah.
and actually play some of that hokey dialogue slightly better than it was originally done.
Well, apparently there's things online now where people are taking the dialogue out of Lego Star Wars and placing it into the movie.
I'm not surprised.
No.
I want to find that.
I've been meaning to look it up.
That was the other thing. We were talking about the actors preparing by watching the animated. I don't know if you guys heard this, but what's his name? Hayden Christensen just said a thing where he was his preparation for playing Vader. He went back and watched Clone Wars.
Right.
Matt's left us, so we've got to do the show without him. How long can we stretch this discussion?
I don't know.
Okay. Hondo Ohnaka.
Hondo.
Oh, well, we were talking about how important the characters are to the voice, and I think it's I think it's more important. I guess it's more important to have the character right. You know, I'm gonna jump to the Frank Oz thing that Frank would always say. It's not voice, it's character. Are you getting the character right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so like Ahsoka is a really good example. Like, obviously you're not going to have Ashley Eckstein play the character in live action, but Rosario Dawson really nailed the character. Absolutely. Yes. And it doesn't faze me at all going from seeing Ahsoka at the end of Rebels or in Rebels to what Rosario Dawson did with it in Mandalorian. It's pretty darn close.
And I think that's where I became okay with it once I saw her portrayal and she stayed true to the character, that I became okay with the switch.
Yeah, I think Sabine is going to be a challenge for me because, again, her voice is so she's got that sort of husky quality to her voice, that sort of smoky quality to her voice.
Yeah.
That and I think the Grand Inquisitor is going to be another one where, like, well, it, you know, again, because Jason Isaacs did something so specific with that character. Are you going to be able to match what Jason Isaacs did? And in terms of Hondo, that's a real challenge. Hondo is one of those characters where, the voice is absolutely important to me.
Yeah, that's because it's not just it's the voice, it's the way he says it, it's the accent. There's so
it's
much
the whole
of the
personality.
character that's behind that
It's
voice.
a great character that Jim Cummings has crafted.
Yeah.
And is so I don't think anybody else could do that. The only person that the only actor that I would think maybe could do that, they've already used in Star Wars. And I can't think, is Guillermo del Toro, who played and when they announced that he was playing he was going to play like a slightly sinister character in Episode 8, there was kind of rumblings like maybe he was going to be Hondo, because he's probably the only actor that I could think of that could play that character. And they introduced a character who was DJ, the slicer, the hacker. You don't remember Episode 8, do you?
I tried
We'll
to
go
block
back
out
to it.
Episode 8.
We'll go back to it.
I did not enjoy Episode 8.
You're not missing much, but he's a character.
It was almost like a reverse Quirrell.
He's almost he's a little bit like Quirrell in the Harry Potter movie.
Except him being like this kind and gently guy, he's a little more slimy.
And if you watch this character, go back and watch Episode 8, you can kind of like this character should have been Hondo. It would have improved the movie vastly.
There's a few things that could have improved that movie.
There are a lot of things, but I think making DJ Hondo would have been much more interesting, and they did. That's okay, that's fine. Hondo's going to be hard for them to get right in live action, so he's definitely on my list. All right.
Yeah, only if they get it right. I want them to show up.
If they get it right.
They're going to blotch it, move along.
I think Cad Bane was an experiment. It's kind of like when they did the first Lord of the Rings movie, you only see Gollum's eyes.
Yeah.
Because they weren't sure if Gollum was going to work. they didn't have the technology there. And I think that's what we got with Cad Bane. I think Cad Bane, they were experimenting to see, can we do this?
Yeah.
And they succeeded. And now that they know we can do this, I'd like to see them push it a little bit further, and that includes Cad Bane too. I'd actually like to see them do, even if it's in something like Andor, his story kind of fell flat in Boba Fett. I'd like to see they'd done him dirty. Cad Bane deserved better than what he got.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen the last of him.
I'd like to see them do more with Cad Bane. He's my
turn now.
Backup
All right,
list.
so I'll take the other obvious one off.
What are you going for?
Chopper.
Oh.
I'm going to surprise both of you and tell you that Chopper wasn't on my list.
What? Chopper's your favorite.
Because he knew.
No, well, I didn't even know, but Chopper was not on my list. We'll talk. Why Chopper? Chopper, we should also preface this, Chopper is my favorite Star Wars character. I love Chopper more than, and I think one of the reasons why Rebels is such a favorite for me is because I just adore Chopper.
As much of a personality as R2 is, Chopper just has so much more personality, and he's not always trying to be the most helpful. He has his own agenda.
Chopper saves Chopper's skin, or whatever droids have.
Yep, his tin.
Metal. He saves his own hide, and maybe Hera's if it's worth it too.
if it happens to be convenient.
If it benefits Chopper.
Oh, he'd save Hera.
He'd save Hera, but the others he kind of
I
whatever.
don't care about the others. Maybe Sabine.
Yeah.
Probably.
No,
not.
Chopper's a great character, and that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Besides, like I said, he goes outside the realm of what the droids have been portrayed in the past. They're very stick to their program. Okay, you get a little bit out of R2 where, okay, we have to go on a mission. I'm not going to tell you. And you get a little bit of the character moments. Chopper, like I said, takes it to the nth degree where, with his personality and just the design of him as well is flawed. So, it's a three-eyed droid. He only has two of the three eyes. The wavy arms, you tell that the front...
His arms don't match, or his leg struts don't match.
Right. The front wheel has been replaced. It's he's been kind of scrapped and put together again. So this is a droid that's been through a lot.
And now I'm gonna counterpoint. This is why I don't want to see Chopper in live action.
Because you don't want them to ruin it.
I don't want them to ruin it. Here's the thing about Chopper in animation. He's animated. He and I don't just mean like, oh, he's in an animated series. I mean, he's a very animated character. He bounces and bobbles and throws his arms around, and he do things that I don't think you can do with a droid in live action.
Okay.
And I think if you do it in live action, you're going to lose a lot of what makes Chopper special. That's my opinion. As much as I would love to see Chopper in live action, he's one, and Hera is another one for the same reason. I don't want to see them get it wrong.
Okay.
Because again, Hera is so special to me.
Fair play.
That's why they're both on my backup list. They're not actually on my list. Yeah.
They were also on my backup list.
Yeah. But that's why.
Emma, you're up next.
Oh, so going to Clone Wars, Barriss Offee.
I knew you were gonna go to Barriss.
Yeah.
Go for it. Why?
They never really finished Barriss's story in Clone Wars. They kind of just sent her off to prison. So we don't exactly know what happened when Order 66 happened. Or did she become an Inquisitor or something?
Right.
I'd like to see Barriss become an Inquisitor. Or just finish her story off.
Yeah.
I don't know the character, so.
You don't know Barriss
okay,
Offee.
so
Okay.
I might, but it's not ringing a bell. So please.
Background story. Barriss is a character from Clone Wars. She is the apprentice of Luminara Unduli. She met Ahsoka in the second battle of Geonosis, and they became close friends. However, in season 5. In season 5.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoilers. Barriss betrays Ahsoka by making it look like she bombed the Jedi Temple and killed someone who was going to expose her for bombing the Jedi Temple. And she nearly got away with it, but Barriss got caught by Anakin and got sent off to prison, and we don't know what happened.
Barriss is essentially the reason that Ahsoka left the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one. All right. Because I know Ahsoka was blamed for something. And I like I said, I jumped around, so I missed the exact reasoning.
Yeah.
But Barriss and Ahsoka used to be close friends, but
And I think it's a question it's a question that's on everybody's, a lot of Star Wars fans, like what happened to this character.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories to it. And it is one of the great sort of dangling threads from, it's probably the only real dangling thread from Clone Wars. I mean, except for maybe Maul. And even Maul's story has kind of been told. There's a giant chunk missing in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But Maul's story has more or less been told.
The majority of it.
Yeah.
All right. So that's up to you.
Oh, man. Oh, I mentioned Hondo. You already mentioned Rex. I'm slicing through and got to get to my backup list soon. Omega. I want to see Omega from the Bad Batch show up. Yeah. Either, if maybe not, I not necessarily in Ahsoka maybe, but again, Andor is a good possibility. Obi-Wan is a good possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're doing a series around Lando. There's a lot of places you could slip Omega in. I think she's just
she'd get along well with Lando.
I was hoping there had been like a quick mention of her in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she faced against Ming-Na Wen's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fennec Shang and.
So there was that common thread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a character that I really like.
Yeah, and with Fennec in the shows, there's your tie-in. You tie her in with Fennec, because Fennec's story hasn't really been told yet. You're getting there. They're getting there. I think.
We got flashbacks.
Yes, lots of flashbacks. But she's just this wonderful sort of. I like her optimism.
Yeah.
Sort of what you were saying earlier, Matt, about she's a character who sort of represents hope. And she's a light where these other 5 characters are kind of dark and brooding. She's a light there, and I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of potential to do things with character. Of course, we don't know what happens to her at the end of. We haven't seen Bad Batch season 2. We don't know how long Bad Batch is going to go. So who knows what they could do with her story, but she's a character that I would love to see at some point in live action. And I'm wondering if, sorry, I'm going to exclude you from, you don't know what we're talking about. This is one of those Star Wars things that you probably don't want to know what we're talking about. Do you find it interesting, Matt? And I haven't watched the special myself in probably 30 some odd years, 35 years when it was first on television. But there was the TV movie with the Ewoks.
Yes.
They did 2 TV movies with the Ewoks, and there's like a little curly-haired kid in that. And every time I'm watching Omega, and I kind of feel like Omega is a slight nod to that character in Ewoks. There's a very strong similarity there.
You're not the only one to think that. I had, because she's very much physically embodying that character.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't look like her voice actress.
Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah. I was wondering if was I the only one who was getting that vibe off of the character?
Yes. No, you're not the only one. I immediately thought, like, she looks a lot like the girl from which again I haven't watched since they aired.
And I've heard they haven't aged particularly well.
Probably not. They are available on Disney Plus, but I haven't circled back to that
but
hunt.
They did. This was one of the interesting things, and this is a Dave Filoni thing, of course, is that there are in one of the Ewok movies, there are, I can't remember what they're called, but they're little two-legged lizards. And they first appear in one of the Ewok movies, and then Filoni recycled them and put them into put them into Clone Wars, actually, and then again into Rebels on Ryloth. Cham Syndulla and his Freedom Riders are on these things, and then Favreau and Filoni recycled them again and put them in Mandalorian, and Quill is riding on one. I can't remember what the thingers are called. But they're a nod back to Ewoks. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to find that Omega is also a nod back to, at least visually, is a nod.
I would not be surprised because Filoni is very much known for bringing things from obscure past. Yeah.
Yeah.
and pulling it in because he is so much the consummate fanboy of Star Wars first.
Am I back in the conversation?
Yeah, you can come. No, you can come back to the conversation. Yeah. We're done with that. I'll show you the character later who we were talking about. Matt, you're up.
I'm up. All right. Well, you knocked off all mine. So I'm going to go with sticking with the Bad Batch. I'll go with Crosshair.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
That was not what I expected you to say just then. Bad Batch, yes, and then you zigged when I thought you were gonna zag. Really, Crosshair? That's the
Crosshair
choice. Why?
Why? I just as the show progressed, particularly the last handful of episodes, there's so much more depth to his character that we have yet to explore, and he doesn't see it as the rest of the group. His inhibitor chip apparently was removed. They confirmed that it was removed from him, and he still acted the way he acted.
Yeah.
He still saw things as far as the Empire's right. The Empire is the way to go, and he's not willing to move on from that. And he just has this lurkingness to him that just makes him a very interesting a character that you just kind of get drawn to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have kind of going back slightly to my conversation about how important is it to, I guess, I don't know how important is, if this ties necessarily to how important is voice versus character, but sort of while we're on the subject of the Bad Batch, do you think they would use Temuera Morrison to play any of the Bad Batch characters?
I
Or
think there's
would
only
they?
one Bad Batch character that he would be able to play.
Echo.
What?
Echo.
Echo?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think?
See, I was
Matt?
thinking the only one that he really would still fit would be within his current physique, Rex.
Rex isn't part of the Bad Batch, though.
Not Rex, sorry.
Echo?
Echo.
I'm drawing blank on the name. The big guy,
Oh,
Wrecker?
Wrecker.
Really? See, that's the character I think he'd be least equipped to play.
Well, just his general. I mean, look, if you looked at him in his armor,
Right.
he is not. The rest of them are more on the slender side.
You're also thinking of them all in terms of like, well, I mean, it depends on where you're slotting them into.
Well, yeah, true.
How old are the Bad Batch if we see them live action? Are you talking about Andor where they're only maybe 5 or 6 years older versus something like Mandalorian or Ahsoka where
they'll be
15 to 20 years older?
True.
Oh my God.
See, that was what I was thinking. Was an older Omega would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Omega meets older Hera.
Yeah. See, there's another tie-in
Yeah.
for you. You could do that.
So yeah,
I did say when I was watching the Bad Batch and they were talking about how they were going to cloak the ship, I'm like, hey, this is the same technology for the Ghost. So later on, when Hera's like, oh, they taught me how to cloak the signature of a spaceship, I'm like, I should have seen that coming.
yeah. I like that tie-in where they brought in the younger Hera,
Yeah.
and you could see some of the connective threads starting to be written in.
She's a much more interesting character. I mean, it's like, again, she's another one of my favorite Star Wars characters. She's up there. But now she's a much more, an even more interesting character to me, having seen her in Bad Batch.
Yeah. I loved young Hera.
Yeah. So real Crosshair, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah,
I
I find them intriguing. I'd love to see where they keep going with them. Which
I don't think he's
again
gonna
the problem
make
is
a Bad Batch.
Yeah, we'll see season 2 of Bad Batch how that goes.
Yeah. All right. So Em, we're back to you.
Oh,
Yes.
So originally 4th, but now 3rd on my list. Because somebody decided to knock out Hondo.
Well, you told me to.
Asajj Ventress.
All right.
Take another one off my list. Go ahead.
Ha. I don't know. I just like the character.
She's a fun character. She's a
Yes.
fun character
She
in
is
that
a
she's
fun
both
character.
light and dark and
Bounty hunter.
bounty hunter. She's got a
Assassin.
terrific sort of story arc in all of Clone Wars.
She's got a great resume.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good choice.
Yeah, and especially now that we're getting the inquisitorial staff in, that bringing in characters like that in would be, I think, really awesome.
Yeah. So that's mine.
Asajj Ventress, she was people who don't know or who
She
haven't
was Dooku's
assassin. She was Dooku's assassin.
Yeah.
Assassin.
But did he take her as a
Took her as a child.
But I don't know if she was apprentice, was she?
I thought she was an apprentice. She was kind of like an apprentice, but she
Rule of
wasn't
two.
supposed to be.
Rule of 2.
I think the thing was that like Dooku took her as an apprentice, but he kind of wasn't supposed to, which was one of the reasons that Papa Palpatine was a little cheesed at Dooku.
Yeah.
Let's see, where is she in this book?
Yeah. So
And then Dooku kind of kicks her out.
tries to kill her, fails. She goes to the Night Sisters and like gets revived or whatever, and we get to see her backstory, which was very interesting.
And then she eventually turns bounty hunter
Right.
Yeah,
with
she
ties to Ahsoka.
she has a nice arc.
Yeah.
Very nice arc. Let me see here. 81, page 81 of the Star Wars book.
The only Star Wars. There's only been one book written on Star Wars, and Matt has it.
Really?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, wow.
That's the only one.
So then what's my Ahsoka book or what's your Ahsoka book that I've stolen upstairs?
Fiction. It doesn't exist.
It's
All of
the
them are.
Star Wars book.
The Star Wars book. That's it. That's the only one.
And what about your Star Wars book?
That is also all in your mind.
I will go and
It's all-
physically grab them.
It's all a grand illusion.
Written by Pablo Hidalgo,
Sure.
Joel Horton, and friend of our podcast, Dan Zaire. Let's see here. Individual.
It's for good radio.
Yeah.
What's are we
Enslaved
on?
in general, Jedi Padawan, and Sith assassin. So yes, she was a Jedi Padawan at some point.
Hey, well, was she a Sith Padawan though? She was a. I don't know.
Jedi Padawan. Oh shoot, I have to remember.
Let's see. Ooh, that's what I want to put on there. Hold on, writing down another one. Make sure that no one takes it.
Okay.
She was found by Dooku, I think.
She was found by
taken
Jedi
by-
Master Kai Narsi.
Kylo Ren. What?
Jedi Master Kai Narek.
I don't know who that is.
N-A-R-E-C.
Oh,
Who was trained until his ultimate death, after which she falls under the influence of Count Dooku.
Count Dooku.
right.
Duh.
Sith Lord capitalized on her lifetime of pain and loss, torture, and manipulation, manipulating her while training her for the dark side of the Force. Excelling in intimidation and infiltration, enemy territory, she becomes Dooku's assassin in the Clone Wars, ruthlessly hunting down Jedi and serving as a commander in the Separatist droid army.
Right.
There we go.
So, yeah,
So, yes. Yes to all the above.
I want to see Asajj Ventress in live action.
Fair enough.
Oh, absolutely. All right, sir.
On
Your
my list.
your third
Oh
and final.
gosh. Oh
The
man.
pain. The pain.
Yeah, I know.
Pick one.
Pick one. I'm gonna say the Martez sisters. I want to see the Martez
Oh,
sisters.
yes, let's see the Martez sisters.
Is that,
Okay.
oh, did we do? Am I on 3? That's my 3. Oh, well.
Yes. This is your
Nice.
third of your 3.
Oh, this has been a short show.
You can do that.
We're almost at an hour.
Really?
Wow.
Huh.
And we've barely
I want
gotten
to see the
off
Martez.
track.
I want to see the Martez. I think that's why we've done this so quickly. Yeah, I want to see the Martez sisters who appeared in. They were introduced in the seventh.
Think of them.
They were introduced in the 7th season of Clone Wars, and then have reappeared again in Bad Batch. They're friends of Ahsoka Tano, so I think there's a pretty good chance we might see them again.
I'd like to see
I can see them showing back up for
I forgot.
Ahsoka.
Those would be
That was a character group that people wanted to see more of.
Yeah.
They grew on me.
I forgot about them. Dang it.
Yeah.
I should put them on my list.
And they were a very pleasant surprise when I was watching Bad Batch. They were kind of like I wasn't expecting them to show up again. And I just thought when they were on Clone Wars, I thought, well, that was a weird sort of filler arc to
Yeah.
those were sort of weird characters to sort of introduce right at the end and then make them disappear. So, but it pleasantly surprised me when they showed up again in Bad Batch. I was very pleased to see that. And they were the perfect tie-in to bringing in. I'm spoiling this for people who might not have seen it yet, but they're the tie-in to Rex. They sort of.
Mm-hmm.
They're sort of responsible for Rex being able to find the Bad Batch, or they are responsible for Rex being able to find the Bad Batch.
Yeah, it's That's one thing I was gonna say. I have to give credit to Bad Batch is all the nice little surprises of characters showing up.
Yeah, there was a lot that I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting to see Kanan. I thought Kanan was a nice surprise, and we're actually gonna do this story. Cool.
Yeah, you get his beginnings more or less.
And I thought Bib Fortuna was a fun little
Yeah.
cameo. Sorry, I'm spoiling this for people who haven't seen Bad Batch.
Go watch Bad Batch.
But if you haven't watched Bad Batch, why are you listening to the three of us talking about animated characters?
Well, yeah, that there's pose that question, and there's
But if you're angry at us for spoiling Bad Batch, we encourage you to write into the show and spoil Resistance for us, because none of us have seen it.
Please indeed.
You'd actually be doing us a favor.
There's a theory that the Rancor from Bad Batch is the Rancor that shows up in Boba Fett.
I would not be. Oh. Huh.
Possible. Not.
I saw people posing as a possibility. Nothing confirmed either way, but
He could also be the Rancor that Luke kills. I mean,
well,
Yeah.
I think that might have been more of the inference.
Sad now.
What? I'm sorry. What did you say, Matt?
I think that's a little more of the inference is that, who he goes to, because Bib Fortuna picks it up. You see the keeper who looks very much like the keeper from Jedi.
Right.
They're like, how unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's a little awkward.
Tragic stories.
That's
Yes.
So yeah, the March
another good.
You're
Yeah.
number 3 on my list.
All right. So I guess we're up to my number 3, huh?
You're number 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Should I go with my obvious, or should I go for something a little less obvious?
That's a tough choice. Do them both. We got time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, initially I was going to say Grand Admiral Thrawn, but you said he's already been confirmed, so that's
Yeah, Admiral Thrawn's off the list because he's been confirmed.
yeah. So that I lose it, and that's a character I've been wanting to see live action for years because
Yeah.
remember I've read in the books I was reading about Thrawn. So
there are other Star Wars books, not just these Star Wars books.
No, not just these, but I'm talking about the expanded universe books that have been disavowed at the moment. But so yeah, going way back, reading about Thrawn and just loving that character and wanting to see more of him. And then they bring him to the animated series. All right, so we got something in the animated series. But I would always.
It should also sort of be recognized here that Thrawn is inadvertently responsible for jump-starting Star Wars. The Heir to the Empire, which was a book, it was written in 1991-ish,
Yeah.
91 or so. At a time when Star Wars, Return of the Jedi had come out in 83. There had been the animated shows in 85, and then there was kind of nothing. Star Wars was a thing that existed, but it, and it certainly had a fan base, but it kind of, run its course. And then in 91 or so,
strange enough, May 1st, 1991.
Oh, there you go. May 1st. Oh. And then in 1991 it was 91, came this book, Heir to the Empire, and it introduced this character of Thrawn, and it was like an overnight bestseller on the New York Times. And it was huge. And it sort of jump-started Lucasfilm Publishing. They started putting out all sorts of Star Wars books, culminating in the Star Wars book by Pablo Hidalgo. No, I'm kidding. But the
this is a reference book.
Jump-started Lucasfilm Publishing, and then sort of jump-started because it was a series that was sort of 7, 8, 9 basically. It was Luke, Han, and Leia after Jedi, and Leia's pregnant with twins, and Luke is still learning the ways of the Force and whatever else. And it sort of jump-started Lucasfilm or Lucas Publishing, and George went, oh, there's still an audience for this. And that was when he started looking. It was sort of a combination of that and the success of Jurassic Park and what they were able to do with the technology in Jurassic Park, that George was able to go, all right, there's an audience for this. There's a hunger for it. Let me sit down and write 1, 2, and 3.
Officially write them. Yeah.
Let me write 1, 2, and 3, because he kind of felt like, well, they've done the stories. They've done 7, 8, 9 in publishing. Let me do 1, 2, 3 in the films. And that was and that jump-started Star Wars all over again. It hasn't really gone away in the last 23 years. So yeah, Thrawn is... There's definitely good reasons to celebrate Thrawn and have Thrawn on the list. But Thrawn's already... We're going to see him. So what was your other one?
So I am going to go with more of a collective and say the Night Sisters.
Oh, really?
Oh.
That was not at all what I thought you were going to say.
You thought I was going to say Hunter, weren't you?
No!
That was one of the other ones.
I'm really shocked. Let's talk about the Night Sisters, and then I'm going to circle back and talk about why I'm going to be
Why you didn't foresee my list as you thought you did in the force.
No,
in your Force
Hondo I
Visions.
saw, but
That's who you were assuming?
yeah,
Oh.
that's what I thought he was gonna say. No, good talk with the
Yeah.
Night Sisters. Talk about the Night Sisters.
It's
Family's answer from before of
Asajj
Ventress.
yeah, I now apologize because, like I said, I don't know them so much from the animated series. I know they appeared in the animated sisters. I know them actually through the Fallen Order game,
Okay.
which takes heavily a lot out of Clone Wars. And
Through Fallen Jedi.
I need to finish playing.
yeah, it's an excellent game.
Yeah. I enjoyed
and
what I played of it.
And they have a nice story arc in there, and it's an interesting world because, at least in the Fallen Order end of it, which has been pretty much confirmed as canonical, that the there is a very misunderstood arc to them, that everyone sees them as these tortured evil characters, but there is more to them than, and like most Star Wars characters, there's more than what you initially see.
Right.
And there's a reason that they are, and a lot of that reason, I believe, seems to be stemming from what the Sith had done to that planet. Especially with the Brotherhood, and in that aspect. So yeah, I just I think it's a world that we could do more exploring on, and characters that we can look more into. And please enlighten me more about them.
See, now I'm starting to have a problem with Fallen Order. Because there is a Clone Wars episode called Massacre. Actually a pretty bloody and violent episode, hence the name.
Massacre.
Where the Night Sisters are wiped out of extinction. Or wiped out.
That is covered in...
Oh, okay.
Oh, is that covered in Fallen Order? Or Fallen Jedi?
So long?
Yeah.
So long as it's following storyline.
Oh, no. It is. And I will hold off on any spoilers.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
See, I was going to assume them, but they're dead.
Yeah.
Can't see them in live action. They're
Me
dead.
too.
No more dead.
Almost all of them are dead.
Ventress
Yes.
is dead too.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are other ways to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know at what point she dies. You could
Well, I
put
was
her
gonna say, yeah. At what point are they dead?
Obi-Wan, honestly, you could put her into Obi-Wan pretty well.
Oh, yes, please.
You could slip her into Obi-Wan, and that would actually be a lot of fun. That would,
Yes,
if I want to see Ahsoka. My approach to this list has been Ahsoka, but I keep forgetting that like things like Obi-Wan and Andor or Lando are a possibility. Andor is a character in Rogue One. You haven't seen Rogue One yet. Yeah.
Okay.
But Asajj Ventress in Obi-Wan would be a lot of fun.
They have great chemistry.
That would be a lot of fun. That's another tough one though, where like, is it more important to have the voice or the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because her voice is another one that's like so specific.
Like a Vader voice. If
Yeah.
you can't get Vader's voice right, then it's not Vader. Where I think
or like 3PO, like I nobody other than Anthony Daniels to sort of send this the other direction. Anthony Daniels always voices 3PO because nobody else could voice that character. It's so specific
distinct
to what he does. You're not going to get a sound alike.
So yeah, I think portraying the personality first and then getting that voice as close as possible. I would put in that order.
Right.
Because again, that personality needs to carry it, just like Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to embody the character, and then you try and get the voice.
The more sort of animated and larger the character, not physically larger, but just sort of like
the personality
broader character is.
Yeah.
The broader the personality, the more important the voice suddenly becomes.
Yeah.
And Hondo is like the pinnacle of that for me. But Ventress is another one. Zeb on Rebels is another one for me. Although you know who could play Zeb and would do it really well? Hugh Jackman would be a great Zeb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And perfect because actually Hugh Jackman of course is known for playing Wolverine. That's his claim.
See, that's not how I know Hugh Jackman.
Well, yeah, I know. Steve Bloom has also voiced Wolverine, has also made a career for himself voicing Wolverine and sort of
there's that connection.
being fake Hugh Jackman. So the idea of Hugh Jackman suddenly turning around and being Zeb would be
Payback.
yeah, well, not payback, but
Yeah.
it would be. I could see him do that character and do it really well.
Absolutely, and I
if you-
think most people
If you
don't
were gonna
realize
have Steve Bloom, but really Zeb should be Steve Bloom.
how tall Hugh Jackman actually is. So yeah, no, I think that would be. I would love to see that. I'd love to see Hugh Jackman in Star Wars.
I think it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of time. Heck, they got Christopher Lloyd is going to be in Mandalorian.
This is true.
I'm excited.
Great
I love
Scots! I have a teacher that's going to who's going to a convention soon. That's going to that has the Back to the Future cast, and he was between like which character do I drop the money for to get the picture and autograph?
Christopher Lloyd.
And he's like, it was Christopher Lloyd and one of the female actresses, and he's like, I have to do Christopher Lloyd because it's Christopher Lloyd. I'm like, yo, you have to do Christopher Lloyd, yes, because it is Christopher Lloyd. Because
He's
you
a,
know,
he's a
he's
legend.
Just, he's a legend, and unfortunately, he is getting up there in age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do
He's
it now.
a legend. Christopher Lloyd is another of those actors. I've never seen Christopher Lloyd in something I haven't liked him in. He's so good.
Yeah, he is absolutely fantastic. He brings so much to my favorite Martian.
Okay, well, my favorite Martian. I'll give you that.
But otherwise, yes, he carries so much. He brings so much to his craft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other one I was actually going to say was Hunter, going back with the Bad Batch, because again, he's very much that father figure, and he's learning to be a father.
Yeah.
And that was part of one of the arcs in Bad Batch that I enjoyed, because even starting from the second episode, really, where the characters are telling, it's like, oh well, it's okay. He's getting all mad whenever the Omega and the other kid run off and kind of almost get in trouble, and Hunter's getting all upset, and then the other character goes, no, it's okay. You guys are all right. You've learned your lesson. It's all right. You're okay now. And you just see his growth and development of the relationship between him and Omega.
Right.
And how to become a father. And the two of us being fathers, it's something, it's not like we get a manual. It's not like, we had to take a course on this. We learn on the fly.
Sometimes even the best of us, even the best fathers, sometimes you're going to knock your kid's head against a chandelier. It's just going to happen.
Not just one of us.
I
both.
might have done it twice.
Maybe forget that they're in their car seat in the car and you walk away for a moment. Yes, these things happen.
I locked Emily in the car once.
You did what?
You thought it was great. It was an accident. You were fine.
Dad?
You were fine.
You're still here?
I didn't leave you alone in the car. I accidentally locked you in the car.
We're talking later.
AAA came. They got you out. It wasn't a hot day, thankfully. Actually, it was because it was a rainy day. It was why you got locked in the car. It was an accident. It's an accident. Tell the story later.
We better tell the story later.
But you won't remember it because you knocked your head against a chandelier. So.
And whose fault is that?
That was my fault. That one I'll own up to.
You'll own up to that one.
Getting back to Star Wars, before I get into any more trouble, why isn't Sid on your list?
Yeah.
What's up? I thought for sure, as soon as I pitched this to you, I went, oh, well, Sid's going to be on Matt's list. Sid's not on your list?
Sid's not on my list. You know who I did write on here, though, but unfortunately, she has never appeared in anything other than books. Mara Jade.
For Han Solo's wife.
No, Luke's wife.
No, Luke's wife. Sorry, I don't pay enough attention. Yeah, Mara Jade. See,
Hand of the Empire, and turned girlfriend and inevitably wife and mother to Luke and his kids.
I got two others that I have marked here on my list. Other media, Ray Sloan, Admiral Ray Sloan. Who appears, she sort of pops up a couple of times. She's in the video game she's in Battlefront 2. She's in, I can't remember the name of it now. It's the book where Kanan, tells the story of how Kanan and Hera meet. It's upstairs, and I can't remember what it's called. I've got a copy of it. But that's the first time she appears, and then she shows up again in Battlefront 2, and she's in she's actually in the Kanan. There's a comic book that tells sort of the backstory of Kanan, and she's in that. And her name came up in something else recently where Ray Sloan popped up, and I went, oh, this character is everywhere. So she was one that I'd like to see in live action. And then there's another really, really obscure character who's from Battlefront 2, and he's also in one of the novels, Shriv Surgev, who's a similar species to Cad Bane from the planet Doros. And he's in Battlefront 2, he's sent off on a mission with Nyan Num, and he's this very sort of dry humored character, very cynical. Oh, and I think he teams up with Lando at one point too, and is sort of very, very the opposite of Lando, where Lando's easy and breezy and everything's gonna be fine, and yeah, we'll just do this and
no problem.
And Shriv is like, no, I'm not having this. This is why aren't you worried about this? You should be worried about this. So he was also on my list as a possible. In terms of characters from other media that I'd like to see brought more into Star Wars. And see, that's just about everybody on my list except for one. We've talked about every. But Sid's really not on your list?
Sid was not on my list. I don't know, I have this weird relationship because I don't know if I can trust that character still.
I think you can.
To me, there seems to be. I
thought you'd want to have Sid just for the excuse to give Rhea Perlman work.
I am fine with that.
Yeah.
I love to give Rhea Perlman.
And then let's call it what we really want here. What we really want here is we want Tobias Beckett to show up in Sid's bar.
Yeah.
And that can happen in Bad Batch. I'm okay with that. Either live action would be better, but Tobias Beckett in Sid's bar, so that we can have a mini Cheers reunion in Star Wars.
I'm good with that.
There we go.
I'm good with that. Don't I know you from somewhere?
Don't I know? Hey, Seed. And then you just have the two guys who are always hanging out in Sid's bar. Have them sort of sitting on the corner of the bar, making stupid comments. You don't really need John Ratzenberger and George Wendt. As long as you've got two guys sitting at the end of the bar making lousy comments, and then Beckett and Sid, that's close. That's Cheers for me. That's Star Wars Cheers.
The one hammerhead orders a fuzzy tauntaun, and the other one starts reciting some sort of random facts.
Random trivia.
Yep.
Talking about life with living with his mother.
That would be beautiful.
So the only character, let's just lightning round. Everybody just sort of a lightning round here. What's the rest of everybody? What's the rest of your backup list, Em? What's the rest of your backup list?
All of Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Aura Singh, and then jumping to Lego, I want Roger from Freemaker Adventures because it's a funny character. No doubt.
I was not.
That's the other one we missed. We missed Freemakers. Five series.
I wasn't expecting that.
I love Roger from Freemaker.
There you go.
He's a hilarious character to me.
The other one I thought was going to be on Matt's list, I wrote this down. I had three things written at the top of my page here. I wrote Sid, Hondo, I knew you were going to say. And the other thing I thought you were going to, and you said I'm going to throw you, I thought you were going to say some random character from Droids or Ewoks. I thought you were going to pull something completely random.
No, that was me.
I didn't go that far.
I wasn't expecting that to come from Emily, who went a completely different direction. What's the rest of your list?
I don't forget about
We've covered pretty much my list.
Oh, wow.
My initial list was Hondo, Chopper, and Thrawn, and you threw Thrawn right at the beginning. So then my backup was Omega Hunter and Rex.
Okay. Oh, wow. Ours were very similar. Our lists were very similar. I had Omega Hondo. I can't talk. Our lists were very similar. I had Omega Hondo and Rex.
Yeah.
Rex, Hondo Ohnaka, Barasafi, Martez, I added Martez sisters.
Yeah.
Asajj Ventress, Chopper / Hera, Bad Batch, Rogers from Freemaker Adventures, and
Aura Singh.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't.
Because I like long.
I went on to I wanted to add Crosshair, Ventress, the Night Sisters, and Mara Jade.
So actually, nobody ended up using their top 3. No,
everyone's top 3 got used in one way or another.
Yeah.
Just not by them.
This is why we went to I said to Emily, go to 5 because we're gonna rip characters off your list like nobody's business, and I'm glad I did. My full list was Rex, Hondo, Omega, Hera, Zeb, really any of the Rebels characters, Hera, Zeb, the Martez sisters, Ketsu, and then I have a note here that says loose ends. I want him to finish off Barriss Offee's story. I want him to tell Cad Bane's story a little bit better, and I want that missing chunk from Darth Maul's story. And then I also have other media. It says Ray Sloan and Shriv Sergev. That's my entire list. Oh, and then the only character we didn't really touch on, Ketsu Onye, who's a character from Rebels.
I forgot about Ketsu.
She's a friend of Sabine's, and she's kind of a fun character.
Yeah.
And I think one of those characters you could easily toss into either The Mandalorian or Ahsoka and have a lot of fun with her, because she's a bounty hunter who kind of joins the Rebels, but kind of, this isn't my scene.
Right.
You know, and Hondo by the end of Rebels kind of also turns that way, where he's like, well, I'm always up for myself. And then he really does help them at the end of Rebels.
Yeah.
But it's Hondo, as soon as the job is done and he's gotten his money, he's gonna go back to being Hondo.
Of course.
And as you get more into the Empire years, Hondo's gonna look out for the, what's gonna hurt the Empire more than, but he's still always gonna be Hondo. And the idea of a character who's, what happens when you've gone sort of legit, but now it's sort of both with Hondo and Ketsu, the idea, sort of that Captain Ahab idea of, I've spent all my life searching for the whale. Now the whale is dead. What do I do? You spent all your life being miserable and lousy, and then you suddenly turn good. What happens when there's no rebellion there anymore? Do you go back to, how does Hondo survive post Empire? Yeah, right. Bad guys.
There you go.
How does Hondo survive after the Empire? What's he doing? Is he still doing illegal things? Is he actually legitimate? How true does he stay to the rebellion? And I think you can kind of go there with Ketsu too. Although Ketsu is a little bit more, she's got a little bit more honor to her than Hondo Ohnaka.
Yeah. Yeah. And thoughts. I will like to put Darth Maul on there, but since he has appeared on both ends, that's why I didn't. But I want to see more of where they went with him.
Story. Maul kind of falls into this gray area. We said like Chopper can be on the list and Barriss can be on the list. I would actually put Cad Bane on as a possibility, because what they did with him live action was just so poorly done. And Maul is just kind of in that gray area where, we've seen him live action, but his story really hasn't been told in live action.
No. And we got some in the animated, but there's still. Really can't. And then I could have said the entire crew of the Ghost.
Yeah.
But so I tried to narrow it down. I thought some of the Ghost ones were a little obvious.
And I've heard a rumor we might see Hera. I've heard a couple different rumors that we might see Hera.
I want to see Hera.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And I want to see Sabine blow something up.
Well, yeah, Sabine's. So that leads us to. I got 2 more things on my page of notes here that I want to discuss. And I guess that kind of leads to the fact that we want to see Sabine blow stuff up.
Yeah.
There have been
spray paint and blow things up.
Yep. Ahsoka, who we've seen, there are 5 upcoming characters we're pretty certain are going to be there, are going to be in live action. We've got Sabine Wren, the Grand Inquisitor, the Fifth Brother, Ezra Bridger, and Thrawn. Which one are you guys the most excited for? I already know Emily's answer, but people who are listening don't.
Oh, Sabine.
It's a radio show. You can say more. It's a podcast. We're trying to fill time. You can say more than you want to answer. It's a discussion.
Remember, your father's not happy if we don't hit that 2.5 hour mark.
I've got a reputation for. Well, actually, I've lost. I no longer hold the record for the longest running episode of Disney Marvels, do I? I've been beaten.
Oh.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget who, but yes.
I think like it was. I think it's like just after we did the Muppets, the top 5 Muppets. I think you had like some 5-hour marathon episode that was the following week.
Oh, was that the one that I had Steve from Gideon's Bakehouse?
I think so.
Where it's a show about cookies and everything else in the world.
I thought it cemented my legacy, and then a week later you blew it out of the water.
Okay.
But so Sabine, so getting back to the subject, Sabine.
I finished my sculpture.
Fine.
So, I've been fiddling with things.
Stuff on the. This makes for great radio.
It just
if they could only see us.
Which character are you the most excited to see?
Sabine, all right, move along. And now for something completely different.
I just want something on topic.
Why should we start now?
I'm the only one who did my homework for this week.
I did my homework.
This makes people don't care.
I got my list.
Say I had to talk.
It was kind of implied when I said we're recording a podcast.
I talked last week.
Okay, good. Emily's out of stuff to talk about. Matt, which are you most excited about? And why?
You didn't say and why.
It was
I would say Ezra. I'm curious to see where we go with that, but knowing that I haven't finished up Rebels yet, so there's a lot of that character I don't know, but I definitely still have to stick with Thrawn because that's a character that I've been wanting to see live action for
30 years.
Yeah, 20 plus 30 years. 30 years.
30 years.
So that's a character that I've been wanting to see for a very, very long time, and I almost thought we were going to get him in Rogue One, and then nope, they went the other direction.
Yep.
So that is a character I definitely want to see brought into the new Chronicle universe, and just he's got so much.
I think a lot of people are excited to see him. I think a lot of people are, and I know that they've worked. I don't know about necessarily Ahsoka, but I know that when they were doing Rebels, they worked very closely with Timothy Zahn, and they made sure that they wanted Zahn's approval on everything they did with Thrawn. I had the opportunity to meet Timothy Zahn at a comic convention a few years ago, and talked to him a little bit. And I said, "What was it?" Because he had written a book, which was it's sort of a prequel series for Thrawn. It's sort of Thrawn first coming to the Empire and his coming up through the ranks of the Empire. It's a fantastic book. The first one is wonderful. It's sort of like evil Sherlock Holmes in space. But I asked him, I said, when you were writing this, did you have to go back and revise at all because of what they had done with him in Rebels? And he said, no, they were so detail oriented in terms of their approach they were so careful with their approach to adding him into Rebels that he barely had to tweak the character at all. He said the one thing they got to do in Rebels that he didn't get to do was the physicality of the character. The idea that there's one of the episodes where you see Thrawn sort of training. He's physically training, and he's what a physical fighter he is, and how capable he is. And he's like it's just something that didn't translate well on paper when he was writing, so he never really got to do it. So to be able to do that in animation was really, he said, a highlight for him. But he's they've worked, like I said, they've worked with Timothy Zahn very carefully on that character to make sure it stays true. And I don't know how involved, if they've had him involved in Ahsoka at all, but I imagine Timothy Zahn's seen a couple of script pages at least.
I wouldn't be surprised considering it's some of the same brain trust.
Yeah. And I'm thrilled that this has not been announced officially, but supposedly it's going to be Lars Mikkelsen is going to do the character in live action. Lars Mikkelsen, who played him in the animated series, is going to continue playing him in live action as well.
That'd be nice. That would be very nice. I mean, that, like I said, that's a character. He's just so brilliant, and he just such a powerful and smart character,
and wonderfully creepy.
Yeah,
I mean, just wonderfully terrifying. He's a terrific villain.
Yeah, he's not like a lot of these other Empire admirals and stuff that are just kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Just kind of there. And then they screw up and do something. I mean, he's methodical and manipulating.
And he's methodical as opposed to, somebody like Callus who's, well, not necessarily Callus. Most of the Star Wars villains have this sort of bravado to them. I am the Empire. The Empire is mighty. And Thrawn is sort of soft-spoken and he's quiet. And it's almost it's almost kind of a Christopher Lee kind of a character, a classic Christopher Lee kind of, or Basil Rathbone. He's in that league of, or Vincent Price, that sort of league of wonderfully terrifying, because it's just this mind that's going and it's going, and he's thinking and he's absorbing everything. Yeah,
you expect me to talk? No, I expect you to die.
I expect you don't have to talk. I've already heard everything that I need, know. And to answer my own question, actually, you which both of you guys already did, Sabine and Thrawn are the two that I'm most looking forward to. Sabine is in my top 5 of favorite Star Wars characters. I just love her. She's just such a fun character I like the idea of like the artist.
Yeah.
It's not something you see a lot of in Star Wars.
All right, you want my reasoning on why I want to see Sabine?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I've been sitting here thinking.
I'm not listening to 2 old men talking.
Well, she never listens to one of them, so.
Yeah, it's true.
That's true.
Especially when you say clean your room.
Clean your room.
What?
No.
Sabine.
Yeah. For one, she's in my top 5 favorites.
Yeah.
And other than the fact that it's really pretty when she blows things up, she's a fun, not quite quirky, but just fun aunt of the group.
She's one of those characters who's kind of different from other Star Wars characters. There's no real cookie cutter for her. Like, there are some Star Wars characters I can watch and I can go, oh, well, this is basically just this show's version of Han.
Yeah.
Or this is this show's version of Luke. Mm-hmm. Or this is this show's answer to this character.
Yeah.
This is a surrogate Obi-Wan. This is a fill-in character for Princess Leia. Those sort of archetypes. And Sabine kind of doesn't have that. There is no other character.
She's just like that fun aunt or older sister.
Yeah. There isn't a character in Star Wars that I could really compare Sabine to. Like Ketsu is as close as you get, who's established as a friend of Sabine's.
Yeah.
She's just different in that regards.
She reminds me of a character from a very different sci-fi series, Doctor Who. There's a character by the name of Ace.
Yeah.
Appeared in the late 80s. However, the original show was towards its end, played by brilliantly by Sophia Aldridge. Sophia Aldridge, she it's kind of like loves to blow things up, but there's this brilliant side to her that is kind of hidden. So it's not just a destructive, but there's a creative side too. So you kind of have the yin and the yang to the character.
Yeah.
So those are the top 20 characters that we want to see in live action.
Yes.
We know we said top 3.
We know we said top 3, but we also knew that was a lie going into it. We burned through those pretty quickly. I just want to mention, since this is upcoming, this is the last thing on my notes.
Okay, mention it, and then I think we'll have to be wrapping up. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, right, because this will be quick, which is that a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about. We talked about a lot of things in terms of what we know so far, but Star Wars Celebration is coming up at the end of the month. They've got a couple panels that are related to the animation, and we're going to hear some things. The first day, they've got a Star Wars showcase. They're going to be talking about basically everything. They're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, and Mando. And showing, I imagine, trailers from all of those. It's actually the weekend that Obi-Wan Kenobi premieres.
Yep.
So I think Obi-Wan's going to be the main topic of conversation for that entire weekend.
What a coincidence!
Imagine that. Branding.
And Ewan McGregor will actually make his first appearance at Celebration.
Oh, is he?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That must be new information. I did not know that.
Yeah, that just came out last week.
I imagine we're going to see a trailer for Andor. Might see a trailer for Mando season 3, but I imagine a trailer for Andor and probably a release date for Andor is probably coming up. They're doing an actual panel on Mando the following day with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. So I think we'll definitely see a trailer for Mando. If we're going to see a trailer for Mando, it'll be there. They're going to go behind the scenes of Mando and Boba Fett to talk about more live action stuff. But the animated stuff that's coming up, they do have 3 things devoted to the animation. There's a new animated series of shorts coming to Disney Plus that they've announced called Tales of the Jedi, which I think is going to be kind of like somewhat similar to what's the one with what's the shorts with Maz Kanata? Forces of Destiny. I think it's going to be that, but with more Jedi in it, I think. They've got a panel for Bad Batch they're going to be doing on the final day on Sunday. And I think we'll almost definitely see a release date for that, as well as see some kind of a sizzle reel for season 2 or trailer.
Yeah, because that season 2 got pushed back a little bit.
Yeah. And then finally they're going to be showing the Siege of Mandalore, which is the closing arc of Clone Wars, right?
Yeah. And
Dave Filoni's going to be on hand to talk about that. So I imagine that's also going to be an opportunity for them to, I think they're showing Siege of Mandalore, but I think it's going to be an excuse to talk about Ahsoka.
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably.
They aren't fooling anyone.
So, and that's just a couple of the things coming up on Star Wars Celebration. So keep your eyes open, ears open. They usually, at least a couple of years ago, they were live streaming these
I believe some of them there are. And again, Dan Zare is going to be one of the hosts.
Yep.
Host there, and he's going to be covering a lot on Coffee with Kenobi, so make sure to check out our friends over there. Also, they announced Vision Season 2. So I won't be surprised if they bring that in at some point.
Yeah, I think there might be a Visions panel as well. I don't remember.
Which none of us brought up any of the characters from Visions because they just don't.
I don't think Visions would.
It wouldn't fit in right because it's its own telling. It's not.
It's a retelling of Star Wars in a different art style, in an anime art style.
Yep.
I haven't seen it.
I've watched a good chunk of it. Some I like better than others.
Yeah, but I wouldn't count any of those characters as legacy characters or canon characters. So those are our top 18. Those are our top 18 Star Wars animated Star Wars characters we'd like to see in live action.
Yeah, indeed. Well, both of you, thank you, Emily, and thank you, Matt, for both coming back on.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always fun. And we will definitely be talking very soon.
Thank you. Happy May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you, and happy celebrating.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you again to Emily and Matt Leonard for joining us this week. As always, love to have them on the show. Love to hear what they say. Makes always for great conversations. We want to know, though, your characters that you want to see make that transition from animated to live action. Join the conversation on our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Disney Marvels Podcast. On Instagram @Disney Marvels Podcast. TikTok @Disney Marvels Podcast, and on the Twitter @Disney Marvels. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can catch the audio version of the podcast on there, as well as some other videos that we post every so often. You can get yourself heard on the show as well by leaving us a voice message through the Anchor app or Anchor.fm website, or record a message electronically on your smartphone, tablet, or computer and email it to DisneyMarvels@gmail.com. You can also email any questions you have or suggestions to that email address as well, disneymarvels@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out the Disney Marvels blog at disneymarvelsblogspot.com. Links to all these are in the show notes. I want to thank you for your time. I know how little time we all have, and knowing that we got to spend some of that time together means a lot to all of us over at the Disney Marvels family. I cannot thank you enough, but I could please ask you to go into Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a rating and a review on there. Help others to find out about the show. They do their parts and keep us going. Or also tell your Disney friends all about it by posting a link on your social network. This way they can also listen to the Disney Marvels podcast as well. The more people we have in our Disney family, the better. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, as we are always posting out new episodes, just in case if it gets delayed, like sometimes it does. While you're at it, consider becoming a premium subscriber to help the show out. Movies are coming back. Get those movie reviews. You can do this over at anchor.fm/DisneyMarvels/support or find our Patreon page. You can also check out the merchandise shop where you get yourself some fun Disney Marvel stuff, shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, cups, you name it. It's all through TeePublic. It's good wearing stuff. I have a few items myself. Wear them all the time. They hold up. Colors haven't faded. It's good quality stuff. You can find a link to all of these in the show notes as well, because remember, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. Whatever you're facing out there, whatever darkness seems to be surrounding you, no matter how impossible things may seem, don't give up. Look deep within yourself, and you will find a light that will guide you to where you need to be. Be your own hero. Never give up. Never give in. Let the light shine for all to see. Don't be afraid to ask for the help that you need, because there are people out there who care deeply about you, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to help you out. Whether you believe it or not, they are there for you. Now I'd like to end this week's show with two quotes. The first one from the Clone Wars. Never give up, no matter how dark it is. That is so true. And the second, from Walt Disney himself, of course. The youngsters of today, I say, believe in the future. The world is getting better. There is still plenty of opportunity. Why would you believe it? When I was a kid, I thought it was already too late for me to make good of anything. Again, that's from Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, everyone. And I'll see you next time. And may the Force be with you.